back to Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, the show where we cover all the things going on in the Linux world. I'm Vince Stone, and joined by my heterosexual life partner, Pedro Hayes, who's going to help us sort this business, man. Pretty big show this week, I think we got going on, right?
It is. It is possibly the biggest one we've had of the LWDWs.
Giggity. That's a good thing. What do you say we just get right into it?
Yeah.
Because
sounds good to me.
Oh boy.
Yeah, AMD.
Oh boy.
AMD did a little presentation this week.
Yeah, they did.
If you weren't paying attention, yeah. They called it Capsaicin. And it was, in fact, a capsaicin-induced cringe because they did announce some things.
I just gotta stop you. Is AMD seriously have the fortitude to bring in capsaicin with super hot products? And I'm not talking about like sexy.
I don't know if this was purposefully self-derogatory or not, or if someone didn't realize what they were calling it. But whatever it was, there was still some fun to be had. They did announce a couple of things. They announced the Sulon Q AR or VR headset. It's got cameras in the front and cameras in the back. You can actually have some augmented reality in your VR headset, which is all well and good. But I suppose the biggest news is actually the announcement of the Radeon Pro Duo, which is a Crossfire dual GPU single card that they're retailing for around $1,500. So
I don't know, man. When this thing started out, I was like, okay, this is going to be a thing. If you didn't watch it live, I'm sure you can go back and watch it on Ustream of all places. Just wrap your brain around. Yes, let's use Ustream. And I was like, why not Hitbox? But this event started out in typical AMD cringiness, and they're like, okay, DX12 this, DX12 that. And I was like, okay. And our first guest is from Microsoft. And I was like, guess that check cleared, Brad. Definitely when they did mention Vulkan for a hot second, but they never really went into any kind of detail, did they?
No, they did not. In fact, the only person that actually mentioned Vulkan was the guy from Valve that they had on that little panel of theirs.
I guess he drew the short straw on that.
Yeah.
I really wish I'd pulled up a graphic because they were showing the, here's Mantle, here's DX12, here's OpenGL, and here's Vulkan. And it was like 25% the size. I'm like, why are you guys ashamed of this? I mean, it's built off your Mantle technology that you did nothing with. I mean, somebody actually...
Yeah, probably so is DX12, to be fair. But yeah, the whole thing started up with Dr. Lisa Su, the current CEO for AMD, shooting T-shirts from a pressure gun. Yeah, and then they made people, including Mr. Raja Kaduri, the guy in charge of the Radeon group, eat spicy food. Yeah, I get it. It's capsaicin, it's in the name, but this wasn't a presentation. This was a frat party.
No. If this was a frat party, it was definitely hosted by the Zoolander School for kids who couldn't want to do other stuff good too, man. I guess like the two big things you said came out of this was the Sulon.
Yes.
So this is an interesting piece of kit. No wires, man. No wires attached to me, Brad.
Yep.
Yeah. Kind of neat. And it runs Windows 10 and it's like went off and did something else. But it also supports augmented reality, and they were showing a live. This is a truly live demo, and it's going to be awesome. And it looked neat. But Pedro, you had a good point. It was like, what's the battery going to nope on that in like 10 minutes? Or?
It's my two big issues with this particular wireless headset is battery life, because if you can't even get decent battery life on a phone, let alone on a VR headset that's currently, they say it's running a AMD FX processor and an AMD R7, so it's probably one of those mobile FXs that comes with the integrated graphics. And the other bit is latency, because latency causes motion sickness, and from the moment you remove the wires, you're dealing with whatever wireless latency you happen to have in your house. Even Wi-Fi Direct has a teeny tiny bit of latency, which in the VR headset is noticeable. Motion sickness.
And another thing they announced was the absurdly powerful Radeon Pro Duo GPU for Windows, because there's absolutely no purpose to buy this for Linux. I'm sure the drivers will be released mid-quarter 2035, but
that's a conservative estimate.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, this will probably only work with AMD GPU, that hybrid open source proprietary implementation that they're working on. And as far as I know, AMD GPU doesn't support Crossfire, and nor does the R600/Radeon SI for that matter. And they're basically phasing out FGLRX. As you may remember last week, we mentioned that Ubuntu wasn't supporting FGLRX anymore for 1604. Yeah, the AMD was on board with that and said, yeah, that was kind of our decision. Okay, so Linux and this card, there's no point.
Well, if we're talking about cards, let's go ahead and talk about this, because Otoy Breakthrough lets game developers run the best graphics software across platforms. Now, when I first read this, I was like, didn't a company do this a while back? You know, there was that one company that said, plug in any GPU, mix and match, and we'll take care of it on motherboard. No, this is all about the CUDAs, man. These lot they've claimed that they've reverse engineered and built a CUDA cross compiler, and they said they did it in 9 months. If true, this is going to let CUDA programs run on everything from Intel integrated graphics to the PS4 to your Android devices. Little bit of a catch, because that means this is only going to work with their products TM. They plan to release this with Octane Render, which is their rendering engine, which supports Linux, so let's keep that in mind. This summer, I did a little digging around. It goes against most of our philosophies about doing research.
Wait. You mean you're not bullshitting this one through?
I know. And one of their verified people that work there said, NVIDIA is one of our most important partners. All Octane sales have been to NVIDIA customers after all, because CUDA. And it's like, what about OpenCL? And it's like, you barely don't know anybody who actually works with us, because OpenCL is garbage. I hate to say that compared to CUDA. And NVIDIA is completely aware of this work, and they knew it had to be done to deploy Octane on Apple, Android, non-Tegra consoles, and platforms where customers have no option of using an NVIDIA GPU. Now, I know, P-Man, you're going to retort, but I said, NVIDIA might be aware of this, but I don't see them giving this their blessing, because this is going to cut into card sales on their high-end, man.
Is it really? Because
Yes.
if we're talking about the high end, NVIDIA has no competition. I mean, take a look at AMD's latest frat party. They've basically just cemented their own grave, as it were. And Intel doesn't release add-in graphics boards, so that's not going to be an issue. Yes, you can now run this on already integrated graphics for the people that have Intel laptops and whatnots, and you can actually use your high-end AMD GPU to do anything productive. Yeah, I don't think NVIDIA has anything to be worried about. And really, if they nuke this, the only thing they stand to lose, or if they don't nuke this, the only thing they stand to lose is their status as a douchebag, as it were, when it comes to hardware manufacturers.
I mean, seriously, legally, they really can't do anything if this is reverse engineered, but it absolutely wouldn't stop them from either A, just buying the company, or B, keeping them tied up in litigation until they run out of money. But we'll see. This is something I definitely want to sit back, grab some popcorn, because it would be a boom for everyone if this stuff just goes out everywhere, especially with CUDA support. But that remains to be seen. But if we're talking about proprietary bits?
Yep, proprietary bits and general douchebaggery. So this comes from techrights.org. Dr. Roy
Oh, what'd you say?
Roy Shestowitz.
There we go.
He had some quarrels with the fact that the media was reporting on the fact that Microsoft is releasing a Debian-based distro they called Sonic, and all the other stuff that according to him, people are saying that Microsoft loves Linux. Of course, everyone who's actually used Linux knows that that's not the case. Microsoft has been nothing but hostile towards Linux over the past few years. And just because they're releasing a Linux distro of their own, that's not going to change. So yeah, he goes in and he basically tears them a new one and tears all those media outlets that were reporting. We're not directly included, but we did kind of mention that on the last Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays. So yeah, he basically lets everyone know that you guys are giving Microsoft good publicity when they don't deserve it. And I kind of agree with him. I mean, I do only have a teeny tiny problem with this article in specific. I'm not defending Microsoft. I know they're scum, but this entire article, he goes through, okay, Microsoft has numerous patent extortions going against Linux, and he gives like 2 examples in particular. Then it's a pretty big article. And then he kind of sort of excuses himself indirectly by shifting the blame onto the other outlets, saying that there hasn't been any investigative reporting on these extortions. Now, I'm not calling anything that he's saying into question, I repeat. And Van has told me that he's actually rustled some feathers at Microsoft and they want him quiet, so he's definitely doing something right. It's just the way that the article is presented, it's not helping his argument much.
No, man, I'm completely with you. Absolutely not a fan of tech rights, but this was one that brought to my attention. I do not like the way the guy writes. I mean, it's like, just sensationalism and all that. And he might be a bit mental, but he does cite his sources. And yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Reddit doesn't like them. Reddit is full of 14-year-old teenagers. But the one thing he brought up in this, that the only really thing I want to address, and it's not necessarily even about his article, it is definitely about another company everyone really loves, Canonical, right?
Yeah.
This is like one of those issues where it's like you just give them both knives and you're like, all right, let us see where this goes.
Have had.
It is about Microsoft. They're trying to patent Continuum. And if you don't know what Continuum is, it's basically, hey, look, I got my mobile device and I'm going to plug it in and it's going to turn into computing. Like, wait a minute, I've heard about that somewhere before. It's like, yeah, that was called Ubuntu Convergence. Way back when. And Ubuntu, I mean, even out with like the prior art and development they've done with that, they've been trotting out their M10 tablet, which actually does it finally after how many years. And, there's just no way Microsoft should be able to get a patent on this. This is the only thing I'm personally concerned about because of the prior art. And, that and Microsoft, they're still running around offering protection, via their Microsoft licensing technology LLC. That's, what I think everyone knows it better as the Microsoft tax. We're going to get to cut off everything like that. And you still got to remember, the big thing I want to address with this is there has been a lot of press, especially in the last 2 weeks, of Microsoft loves Linux and Microsoft. So Microsoft still has some dickery in it.
It's like he says, euphemizing the shit out of it.
2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Maybe they'll come around completely. They have a lot of work to do to make up for all the FUD that they've thrown. And especially, I mean, they still have this mysterious booklet of Android patents that, they
yes, every that they Android keep threatening device. Companies with, but they haven't actually gone to court. Mm-hmm. I wonder why.
Whoever knows, man. But let's talk about something that's kind of fun. Hello, TSA. Why do I say that? Well, look at that. Can you imagine going through the air zone? I was like, what's that? It's not a bomb. No.
Yeah, the TSA is going to confiscate those SD cards right then and there.
Oh, man. But seriously, we're talking about the DragonBox Pyra. This is the successor to the Pandora, right?
Yes.
And they have their first little prototype shipped in. It's a little rough around the edges. It is got a neat full keyboard. You got your your D-pad. You got your swoogly joysticks there.
Which they don't have the bits on top of yet because they're still calibrating them. I mean, if you can see it there.
Home, playing the home game. You need to get that decimal in there because it looks like 368. And it's like, whoo, it's a bit warm. Not available for sale. They got a couple things to say about this thing. Let's see. Right now, in its current form, I think you could pre-order, which I don't know if they will ship. I think they were like 930 euros for a pre-order. So I'm just going to get this out of the way. This is something you buy because you want one. That's it. You can't use any other excuse saying, but it does this, this, and this. You just can't. If you want one, get one. Cool. It's a neat piece of kit. But currently, right now, it does not have any hardware acceleration, so it's kind of sluggish, moving around with your X windows and all that. They're currently working on finalizing the mold and sorting a couple of issues, and they hope to actually have this thing in a manufacturing run at the end of this year. But here's something I want to ping you on, B-Man, because the original Pandora came out in 2008, right?
Yes.
And it was something, it was like 450 quid or something like that, wasn't it?
500 euros here.
500 euros. Brilliant. And in 2008, it's like maybe, all right, maybe Linux handheld, that's going to be kind of neat. I got a little portable emulator that can play all these things. Fast forward to 2016 when you have like a Raspberry Pi for like 35 wet sneaky caches, and for about $200 you can build your own little, let's just say for $900, undercut this, you can go buy a 3D printer, download a case for it, slap it all together with an LCD screen, and have something more powerful than this thing's still running a TI OMAP processor, which I don't even know. It does have 2 gigs of RAM as opposed to the 1 gigajoule of RAM on the Raspberry Pi B. But if you want something portable that you're talking in 2016, you can buy a 50 quid Amazon tablet that'll play PlayStation 1 games.
Yeah, the Kindles are actually pretty damn cheap. But yeah, I honestly, I get it. The whole handheld laptop, as it were, and the fact that it has a dedicated keyboard along with the D-pad and the analog sticks, that's good. Seriously, good job on them for getting that together. But the price point, I hope that they can get someone to manufacture this at a cheaper price, because no one is going to pay 900 euros or 1,000, as I'm guessing.
It's definitely going to get cheaper once things are finalized and they do a run. This has never been a big seller. That's why I said at the beginning, if you want to buy one, you think it's awesome, and it's a neat project, absolutely neat project, buy one, support them, help them out. But outside of that...
But that's just it. Yeah, no, there's really no point. Other than supporting them, there's really no point.
But if we're going to talk about Raspberry Pis, we need to talk about
since
storage.
We're on the Raspberry Pis, Western Digital has released a 314 gigabyte hard drive for the Raspberry Pi. It's power efficient, so I'm guessing this is based off of their Western Digital Green line. It's a 7mm 2.5-inch drive. You can also get the enclosure for the drive itself, as well as a Raspberry Pi, so you have just one self-contained unit, as it were. And yeah, they're selling it for 31.42. Yeah. So
it's kind of neat. It's a native USB drive. So is the Passport. So you don't have to deal with SATA connectors. It's kind of neat. Kind of like the Passport. For like $20 more, you can get a terabyte. How is storage like genuinely an issue for the Raspberry? Because I couldn't ever imagine. If I was going to build a torrent box or something like that, or a Plex box, 300 gigajoules, that's not going to get me very far.
No. I guess the way that the Tech Week article, all the links will be available in the show notes. The way that they describe it is for those more storage intensive Raspberry Pi projects. Say you have a bit of an emulator box going on with your Raspberry Pi, and you want to have some of the ROMs, as they were, local, so you didn't have to pull them from some network drive. That's okay. I can sort of see that. But then again, this is a 314 gigabyte hard drive. 314, get it? Because Pi is funny. And it's not totally like they had a couple of faulty platters to the side, and they just put the ones that work together and call, oh, hey, look, we have an enclosure for it. Let's just sell these. Yeah. But yeah, it is USB 3.0. So on average, we're talking about 80-ish megabytes sequential writes reads. Maybe. And you are talking about 10 cents per gig when it comes to the space. So that's coming in on SSD territory, because I have a Western Digital Black on this box, which is 1 terabyte and cost me around 80 euros. So that was 8 cents per gig.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, this is a neat piece of marketing and all that. I mean, if you're ever thinking about getting a spinny disk for like that, seriously, just do the search for the Western Digital My Passport drives. Like I said, for about $20 more, you can get a full terabyte. And
or, just get one of the cheapo external hard drives.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're a Western Digital fan. That's all. That's the only thing. But you know who we're a fan of? You.
The people that give us money? Yeah.
Oh, my God. Look at the page. It's all different. Because Patreon's like, we're changing your page. Do I have enough? No. Okay. So I guess we better sort that. And so we got all the people who's been on the shows up here that I could sneak in.
Oh, Strider's a bit occluded by the letters.
Yeah, see, I had no idea where that was going to go. See, I'm covered up too, so it wasn't anything personal. You are too as well, kind of down here.
Yeah, on the left there.
But yeah, man, currently 72 Patreons, so we're doing about 137 for this and Linux Gamecast Weekly. That is awesome.
Amazing.
That whole new look, they promise it's going to titilize people and all that. But I do want to give a little shout out because Ben dropped us some shekels to keep this Linux train off the rails.
Awesome.
And we just genuinely appreciate that. We got another goal. I mean, I'm still actually learning how this page works, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's one of the things that they added is the new goal. It counts towards the next goal that you have set up. So that's pretty neat. You can see there, once we get to 200, Jordan hates Sirius M3. So we're going to force him to beat it in co-op.
Well, why would we do that? And why are you smiling so much? It's like you don't like Jordan or something.
Well, I love Jordan. I really do. But it's actually funny how much he hates this game. So I'm especially looking forward to that one.
It's not that I dislike him, but I will derive joy from his agony. So
yes.
Call him A, call him B. Patreon.com/Linux Gamecast. You want to help us out? Keep us independent. It's going to be awesome. Okay, Linux 4.5. It's a thing. Linus is like, RC8, F that. Boom, here you go. It's out. It's got a couple of neat little bits in it. My favorite thing is the code name for this was, gotta say it, Blurry Fish Butt. I mean, that is only next to Herder, I'm a Sheep, which was an option Linus put up there when they had a voting thing, and he figured bots would hit that one first, and everyone naturally picked Herder, I'm a Sheep. This one, it's got a couple things. It includes the implementation for initial support for the AMD power management technology. Great.
It's AMD GPU. Yeah.
Right. But they did add the copy file range system call for offloading copies between regular files. So basically, you can make copies of files without transferring it through user space. Kind of neat. Some things like ButterFS can take advantage of that. And the ultimate thing, Linus himself added, nay, probably one of the most important things ever added to a kernel, actually updated in the kernel, is he's included some code. I'm just shocked to be able to say this, that does a better job of handling PS2 mice input. P-Man, come on.
I mean, it's only 2016. It's not like, oh, wait, we are in the 21st century. Huh. All right, to be fair, one of the things I didn't notice in the release notes was the signed firmware images from NVIDIA for the Nouveau drivers. That's one of the things that I'm guessing it's in there at this point, but they don't actively say that they are. But yeah, it means that out of the box, Linux distributions running the 4.5 kernel will support Maxwell GPUs. So good on them, I hope.
No, man, I think that's an awesome thing. It's always good to see new stuff. And, several distros will backport a lot of this stuff. So just keep that in mind before you use I need to, because that can cause some issues. But let's talk about bird culture.
Yes, the bird culture where, developers, they're lazy people. I keep making this argument. No one ever believes me, but they are. And the guys at TP-Link decided, you know what? We could make it so people could still install DDWRT or OpenWRT into our routers. But instead, we're just going to do the lazy approach and block the loading of custom firmware onto the hardware.
Pedro, why would you want to do that anyway? You're just a hacker, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. It's not because I don't want the backdoor that the NSA has built into every single router on the planet at this point.
Or are you giving the NSA too much credit? It's pretty much it's just using some old, outdated Linux kernel and that hasn't been patched in forever. But hacking is kind of the guise the FCC is using for this. They're like, well, people are putting too much gain on their antennas and making them go outside the FCC regulation, and that could affect... Look at the monkey! So
that's one of the things that the FCC is very strict about is stuff that emits radiation cannot interfere with anything else. So if you say you loaded some custom firmware into your router, you could actually get those antennas to go from the frequency that the regular wireless uses, either it's 5.4 or 3.2, mistaken. You could go outside of that radiation and start interfering with other stuff and perhaps even damage something. Yeah, and they kind of want to stop that.
Ultimately, people are just juicing up their antennas for better Wi-Fi, which...
Basically, yeah. Really and it makes sense considering how crappy the signals are on some routers, especially TP-Link ones.
Well, my first thought with this, we were talking about this before we went live, is this is the FCC. I mean, TP-Link, they're like, you need to do this. And TP-Link's like, all right, we're going to do the worst possible job we can at this, but we'll do it. I mean, we'll make this slightly less difficult than rooting an Android phone from 2010. But, this even goes to show because the DDWRT developer, Sebastian, he doubts whether TP-Link is actually blocking third-party firmware. I think
because they just changed the headers to try and stop people from doing that. But as the dude who wrote this for Ars Technica, he says that this will only be implemented for routers produced before June 2016. It does not apply. That's the thing. It does not apply to routers produced before June 2016. So only the ones produced after that will actually be affected.
So, I mean, if for some reason you buy TP-Link routers before you rush, run, don't walk to your computer and go to Amazon and order them.
Considered.
Right. That's definitely going to be a thing. But this is something you've been meaning to talk about.
Yes, I have. It's one of the things I was supposed to look into 2 weeks ago when Rohit and Chatrealm brought it up, but I completely forgot. This is Doom 3, official pronunciation pending. And this is another rebuild of the Doom 3 source code. And this one is special because it actually works with the directional keys on the keyboard. Previously, even with IO Doom 3 or any of the other ones, if I wanted to play it, I would have to map the movement keys, like up, down, strafe left, strafe right, to the numpad, because I couldn't use the directional arrows because they simply were not recognized. That was also a problem with the vanilla Doom 3 implementation. I don't know why it did that back in the day. This was 2007 that they originally released it. But yeah, Doom 3 actually fixes it, and you also get the 64-bit port, which Mr. Rohit contributed to big time. And you get SDL2 compatibility, which means that if you set it to full screen into one monitor, it won't shut down the other monitors that you're currently running. So good on them for that.
Yeah, I mean, I download. Something we were talking about earlier. I was like, okay, download it, pull the get, and I'm like, It's like, okay, look in the folder. Oh, CMake, all right. That's all I looked at, and I was like, all right, make directory build. Go into directory. Make space, ... enter. The heck? Next station was like, oh, CMake. Really? Okay, let's go to the desktop, make a build folder, run CMake, link it to, all right, and then it builds. I was like, way to go about doing it backwards. But outside of that, I already had everything, all the libraries installed I needed to compile, and, J8, boom, did it. Probably took maybe 4 minutes, and it was there. Didn't get to test it because the only copy of Doom I have is on a spinning optical media thing. And I did find a spinning optical media drive, and my need to play that game wasn't high enough to put that together. If anybody wants to send me a copy on the Steams or something, I'll make a how-to video of putting all this together, and they can use it on their web zone and all that. But interesting project, github.com, DHEWM. Yeah, check it out if you still want to walk into rooms backwards, because you might as well, because something's going to jump around the corner and try to nope you. So, yep. do we get any feedback this week, man?
Oh, yes. Apparently, quite a bit of it. Well, one is from a couple of weeks ago. It's Mirror's
You mean the one that we finally remembered to put in?
Yeah, we finally got around to that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was from the 5th, man. Mirror's all about, it's like watching LGC on a small monitor. And I got a scared life-size Pedro Mateus and Vin Stone. Vin is more vampire than normal. Listen, as part of the Vampire League Southern Division, I approve this message. But,
why can't we see you, Vin?
I don't know, man. Or we're using a film camera. Those things didn't work on us.
Yeah.
But, there it is. All right, that's kind of neat. I guess if anybody...
I don't know what I'm doing with my hand in that one, but I'll take it.
It's better not said. But, all right.
Gynosaur.
Yeah, okay, I was not going to say. I was going to say something with GUI in it, but all right, go ahead.
It's Gynosaur, yeah. Okay. And he has some questions about AMD processors. You have 8-core AMD processors. I have the Hyper TX3 Evo. That's similar to my 103 Hyper thingy that I have on the Steambox. And mine runs at 39 Celsius idle. Is that high? Update. It's an FX 8120.
Pro tip, when you send something like that, let us know what chip you're talking about, because normally I wouldn't bother to write someone back, but I was like, yeah, all right, that'll be a fun little thing to talk about. So,
yeah. So, that's 39 is not high. Again, we're talking about AMD parts.
Well, you're talking about an 8120, which is the other one in the 8 series, like my 8150. Actually, there's one other that runs at 125 watt TDP.
Yes. The new new-ish 8320s are 95 watt TDP parts, just like my FX 8370E. But yeah, no, 39 is not high. And if you're already running the custom heatsink, you should be fine. For me, it usually idles at around 30, even during the summer, because of the Knox Hummer H300 that I have on it. Even with the 4.2 gigahertz overclock, it doesn't go any higher than 30 while it's idle. If it's under load, it'll usually go all the way up to 60, low 60s, but as soon as the fan on the heatsink kicks in, it comes back down to 54. That's where it usually stabilizes at.
Since you do have a 125 watt part, just disregard everything he just said, because it just doesn't apply to you. I do have the, as he looks, Hyper 212 Evo Pro on my 8150. First things first, you're never going to keep 125 watt AMD part cool. You just not. Let it go, Brad. And I know, stop, because you're about to hit your keyboard and furiously type, But Vin, I have a 8150 clock to 1100 gigahertz, and I have a passive heatsink this big on it, and it runs at 2 degrees. I know you are. See, you're super smart. You're more clever than we are. We're not that clever. We're talking to other people on our level. You're the genius. We're talking out
of our ass.
Yeah, you're the genius that can figure that out, not us. With an 8150, especially 125 watt part like your chip, which is like 2 versions before mine, I'm overclocked, slightly overvolted, running at 4 gigahertz, and my idle temps are roughly about 45 degrees, which is like, oh god, that sounds horrible. Not really. I mean, the fan's barely spinning on the 212. It's about 1,300 RPMs. But here's the important part. Under load. This thing spins all day Sunday under load while I'm rendering out the videos and the multiple from the mezzanine copies for the distributions. Would never hit 60. I've seen it maybe go up to 58, but mostly it's about 56, 57 under 100%, all 8 cores doing their business. Yeah. So not a whole lot of worry with that. Yeah, if you're getting 39.
And the 212 is a pretty good one.
Yeah, the 212 is a good one. If you got 39, good thing you got rid of that stock cooler. I can still hear that thing in my nightmares. A little dustbuster. But 39, you're not overclocked, 125 watt. You're doing better than a lot of people, man. Just be happy with yourself. So, to close out...
someone had some quarrels with the fact that you were not on the sauce.
What? Me?
Yeah, Evandro.
Okay.
One of our Portuguese fans, yes. In response to last week's show, he said Ven wasn't drunk enough. That's tea, you guys.
This is Arch tea. Sometimes the cup updates and it just crashes, but Arch, it's a thing. Yeah, I'm kind of like doing this at 2:30 in the afternoon on a Wednesday, man.
Anything after 12 p.m. is fair game.
You're an alcoholic, Patron. Okay, thanks everyone for joining us. We will be back next week. If you want to send in some feedback, easy things you can do, because right now we're basically keeping this on YouTube till the end of this month, and next month we'll start putting things together. Just leave us a comment on the YouTube videos. That's the thing, or you know the other way to get a hold of us if you want to go to their other show, which will be on Saturday, Linux Gamecast weekly. You can go to linuxgamecast.com, hit the contact button, just put it in there, and just, you know, in the subject say Linux Weekly Daily Wednesday, and we'll make sure you'll get on the show next week. Vin Stone.
I am Pedro Mateos, and thank you very, very, very much.
He still drinks too much.
Shut up!
You sound like Nori.
Shut up!